Unmute. There we go. Same thing happened to me. All right, how's it going, everyone? Hopefully, you guys are having a great night today. We're gonna have Diamond Hands in here, so Raven, and then we're also gonna have Amit from his channel. Amit, it's his name. So we're gonna have him jump in a bit, and then we're gonna go over so much, guys. So we're gonna jump over the markets, everything that's going on in the markets. We're gonna check out some Voyager. We're gonna check out Palantir and all that stuff, and then we're also gonna talk about get to know Amit. And if you guys have any questions, drop them down below and we'll answer those questions. But let me bring in Diamond Hands. How you doing?
Hey, investing guy. I'm doing good. How about you?
I'm doing good. And look who just came in. We got Amit. How's it going?
What's up, guys? Nice to meet you guys. How are you?
Doing good.
Perfect timing.
Yeah. So let's check this out. We've got the market. What do you guys think about the markets? Like looking at that today, like everything was red except pretty much oil and Palantir.
Palantir basically it collapsed at the end of the day. I mean, it had a little bit of a fake rally. It went down to under 11, right?
Yeah.
So
yeah. But let's check this out. So I have a few things here. I'm going to share with you guys here. So pretty much the Dow. Can you guys see that there? Down. What is it? 2.4%. S&P 500 down almost 3%. NASDAQ down 3. Everything's down. And then we have here the Voyager stock down. Well, let's see on the day. Boom. Like, wow, that's a lot. 8%. This is insane. And then we have Palantir here. Let's go back over to the 1 day. Where are we at? It looks green there to me. It's looking good today. It's looking strong. Now, the thing that I found interesting, Amit, I don't know if you check this out, but so you have Palantir up today and then Snowflake down like 8%, which is insane.
I didn't even know Snowflake was down today. Wow.
Look at that. Isn't that crazy? I found that crazy when I saw that.
Yeah, and they got wrecked recently, right? After their earnings, they had a huge drop.
Well, yeah, I mean, if you see that, this is from earnings here, and then today it continued dropping, which was pretty freaking crazy.
Yeah, the thing is, I mean, I see it feels like the entire market is ready. You know, I'm not saying it's going into a recession, but it's like prime to drop down to that 3,800 level because like think about it, if we get to 416, which is I think is the last level of support for the S&P, then we're like $16 away from touching the 3,000s again. So I mean, and if that happens, everything's going to the gutter, and we're gonna be there for like a year. So it's hard for me to be like Snowflake sucks, but Palantir is okay right now, or Voyager. It's like if this keeps going, we're all gonna be just drowning.
Yeah. No, yeah, I definitely feel the same way, man. Like, when is the end? And I'm checking out. I don't know if you guys have seen the VIX. Do you guys check out the VIX at all?
Yeah, it's been up there recently.
So today it just spiked up a bunch.
Wow, 36.
Up to 36. So if you look at it, kind of the VIX, for a lot of people that don't know what this is pretty much you want to, like, if you buy here, these peaks are usually good buying periods. But I mean, I don't know, if we look at it in the past 5 years, it's tough. Like, I don't know what's going to happen. If we look at the max, I was checking this out earlier, and I kind of see this pattern happening again from 2008. Could it be this? I kind of see that similar pattern there. I don't know. It's tough to see what's going on there.
Yeah, I think it's definitely been a volatile market. And that graph you're just showing, I mean, we saw that huge spike up right in March of 2020 for the pandemic when nobody knew what was going to happen, right? There was massive fear. And I think in general that the rule is that whenever it goes above 20, you consider that to be a pretty strongly, volatile market. Now we're up in the 30s, approaching the 40 range. So we're absolutely in that. I mean, every morning I wake up and I kind of check, the pre-markets, and I'm expecting to see a large movement because that's just what we've gotten used to, right? Maybe eventually we go into something that becomes more stagnant, but for now, that's definitely what we're all getting used to.
Yeah, and we've got Toru here. So I promised Toru something really fast. So, hey, Toru, here it is. So I promised I'd show my little Banjo.
That's an OG N64 game?
Yes, sir.
Wow.
So we have a little hero community, and we all pick a hero. And my hero is Banjo Kazooie. And so he was like, "Yo, cool hero." And I told him I was going to show off my N64 Banjo Kazooie. I haven't played it in so long, man. I need to hop on sometime and play it.
Yeah, I never got into N64, but I got into the DS Lite. That was or the Game Boy Advanced SP. That was my first 2004, and then DS Lite 2007.
Well, you're a little bit younger, right? I don't know. How old are you, Amit?
I'm 24.
You're young, man.
Yeah, a little bit above N64, but
yeah,
still old. We're getting up there now.
Nah, come on, man. You're still young, man. I'm 20. I'm 28. I got a bunch of gray hairs. I was looking at myself in the morning. I was checking out the mirror. I'm like, man, I got so many gray hairs. Jeez, like this market, man. It's the market.
Amit, investing guy. Guess how old I am?
26.
23. Oops.
What?
Wait, I read on your Twitter you just where'd you graduate from?
I went to University of Pennsylvania in Philly.
Okay, and what are you doing now?
My day job is I'm a data analyst in the pharmaceutical industry. I was just telling investing guy this. I program a lot and I build dashboards, basically building out visualizations for business intelligence.
Ah, interesting. So you're kind of working with software similar to Palantir, if business data intelligence.
If I knew more about Palantir software, I could tell you. I mean, we do. I mean, we use a lot of programming. I mean, I'm getting my master's in statistics right now, so I use R, Python, Java, those types of things. But we have Alteryx, which is a stock out there. We could always look into that one. And Spotfire is how we build out visualization. So I've seen some of Palantir's, some of their posts that they show in their investor presentations with dashboard views, right? It's specific to certain industries. They have, just a bunch of KPIs, charts, all kinds of data metrics. So it probably is similar. Now, it'll be interesting to see if my company ever adopts Palantir's technology. I would love that if I was able to, use it and give a personal opinion.
So how do you have time to make YouTube content if you're doing data statistical, getting a master's in statistics? Where do you get the time to I'm going to talk about Voyager today?
I'm a hard worker. I mean, when I was at Penn, I also played softball in college. So I've always been doing multiple things at once. I find it fun. I mean, I always, digged into stocks in my free time. And then I started digging into them and then recording a video on them afterwards. So try to do that at night on the weekends, kind of prepare what I want to talk about and then record when I have the time.
Did you grow up on the East Coast as well or no?
Yeah, I've always grown up on the East Coast. I have family in Pennsylvania, but my family grew up in Connecticut. And then I was obviously back in Pennsylvania for college, moved to Mass, moved to Rhode Island, but always in the Northeast. I like it here.
Yeah, that's cool.
You're in Cali, right?
Yeah, I'm in Cali. I'm over here in pretty much Santa Cruz, California. Yeah.
Yeah, New York is way better than LA. I mean, it's an obvious.
Yeah, LA sucks, man. Anyone that comes to Cali and they go to LA, I feel bad for them. I'm like, don't go to LA. LA is. Ugh.
I've been to California many times. North California, where Stanford and all that stuff is, that's really nice. But LA is just it's interesting.
It's cool. It's got its cool spots. I went out with Floki. I don't know if he's watching, one of the heroes, but that area was really cool. But one thing that I just can't do in LA is the traffic. The traffic in LA is, oh man, it's tough.
Yeah,
it's tough traffic.
I've never been to California, but I heard if you go, you have to have In-N-Out burger. Everyone says that's good.
It is so overrated. It's not even
really.
It's so bad. It's
wait, actually, what? In-N-Out is bad?
Yes, bro. It's
oh, come on.
I ate the burger. I'm like, what is this? This is what California is hype over. Five Guys beats it every single day.
We got, well, yeah, maybe, probably. West Coast, rise up. There we go. All right, so let's check it out. So let's get started with this stuff, man. Amit, you're a super cool guy, man. I want to know a little bit more about you, man. Tell us about yourself. Real quick, I want to say thanks for joining the live, man, because
absolutely.
Awesome guy, dude. I reached out and I was like, man, if I could get Amit on here. By the way, I gotta say, if anyone hasn't seen his content, definitely check out his content. The way, I'm telling you, Amit, I don't know, the way that you talk, man, you just grasp my attention. and I watch your videos, and I just can't stop watching it. It's like the way that you talk.
You're gonna make me blush. Don't do this.
No, I'm not even kidding, dude. Like, I don't think there's any other YouTuber that can do that. Like in the finance space. Well, at least with me, like the way that you talk is just, you talk quick. You get to your points. It's insane, man. Like you got ability, and then diamond hands. You make everything seem so simple. You guys are going places, man.
Yeah, it's interesting you say that. I think the weird thing about YouTube to me is like it's 95% of people like us talking in front of a camera. And if you think about that from a pure content attention perspective, that's incredibly boring. It's like are people just gonna stare at this guy with a beard talk in front of a camera? So to me, I always had it from that mindset. I'm like, I'm competing with like Stranger Things on Netflix, because we're all competing with attention at the end of the day if we're trying to be YouTubers. So to me, I'm like, well, if I could develop a speaking strategy that could actually get people to listen and maybe watch, but even if it's listen in the background, then I could sustain their attention, then the watch time could go higher, which means the algorithm would like it a little bit more. So that's why I put a lot of emphasis on speaking. But in terms of about me, I think the reason like I do the speaking stuff like decently is I did debate in high school. And because I did debate in high school, which is super nerdy, I did it for like 4 years, ended up getting decently well at it, traveled across the country in national debate tournaments. So as soon as I graduated, I was like, all right, I have these communication skills that I learned over 4 or 5 years in high school. Like, what do I use them in? And the past couple of years in college has been a journey of like, where do I utilize the ability to communicate? Because the ability to communicate in general is not intrinsically valuable. It's only valuable when it's applied to like building something or doing something. And I'm a stock market junkie. So I was like, all right, can we make content around stocks that people find compelling? And like, now I'm here.
Yeah. No, I started watching your content maybe like 2 months ago, and man, your channel has blown up in those 2 months. It's insane, man. Like, congrats.
Yeah, I appreciate it. Just playing the game. I think the YouTube game, for like, I think it's really a question of obviously authenticity and personality. But to me, it's an algorithm at the end of the day. And the algorithm just wants to know more about your content. So like you guys focusing on Voyager, I think that's the perfect strategy, because people will be like, oh, why are you making all these Palantir videos? Why are you making all these Voyager videos? It's like, well, the one thing I don't get about content creation is like, if I make a video on a new stock every day, like what value do I have to the world talking about random stocks? Like the world knows I haven't done that much due diligence on all these stocks, because how the hell do you have time to do that? So like if you pick a niche and you kind of go all in on that niche and you figure out how to make enough content around that niche, A, you stand out in that niche. You can hopefully get some thought leadership, some credibility. And then B, the algorithm actually knows how to like recommend your content, and then you can start talking about other stuff. So I think that's the strategy with content.
Yeah, that's crazy. What do you do? I know you were asking me about me. I'm a teacher and all that. You were asking me some questions. You said that you have some family members that are teachers, but what do you do?
Yeah. I love that you were a teacher, because I'm like, because I could have seen it in your Twitter bio, but I guess I didn't click it until you.
Yeah.
And then you were like, you're a teacher. I'm like, oh, that's awesome. My mom's a teacher. My sister's a teacher. I have a consulting firm. So I did the whole public speaking debate thing, and then I graduated college, or I graduated high school. And I had all these clients, potential clients. I didn't even know they were a client, but they were just like, hey, we'll pay you $80 an hour to like teach us public speaking. I'm like, it's better than $10 an hour at Starbucks as a freshman in college. So I was like, all right, so then I just turned that into an entire consulting firm for communications. And I've been scaling that ever since. I also have a startup on the side. So that the consulting firm is kind of like my day job. The startup and YouTube is like the thing that I'm trying to get a little bit more bigger. And yeah, that takes up most of my week.
Yeah, it's the Audio.io, right?
Yep.
Yeah, that's pretty cool. Is it? I know I've heard you talk about it. It's like a podcast. What exactly is it?
Yeah, I mean, in a nutshell, I think there's a market opportunity for audio that has not been explored. Right now, podcasts and the ability to get discovered for your audio is in a decentralized landscape. So it's syndicated through RSS, meaning like you upload an audio file, and then Spotify and Apple and every other podcast app in the world, there's millions of them, but Spotify and Apple are the only ones that matter, to be honest. They take your content, they source it. So you don't upload anything to Spotify like we upload to YouTube. You don't upload to Spotify. You upload to an RSS feed, and then Spotify just catches the content. And to me, I think that's the opposite model. I think that's a horrible model, primarily because I don't believe that gives Spotify the algorithmic discovery mechanisms like YouTube has by having all the content in YouTube in a centralized area to then be able to make an intense recommendation engine for audio. So in a nutshell, Audia is trying to become the YouTube of audio. Do you guys hear that in the background? The wind? It's like,
is that at your place?
Let me close the window real quick. That's like,
I could hear it a little. Yeah, not that much, but yeah, that's insane. It was
Yeah.
so windy over here a few days ago, but it's calmed down over here.
Having like an insane thunderstorm. So yeah, we're trying to create the YouTube of audio. And I also think Spotify and Apple have an issue right now, which is that they're trying to become the Netflix of podcasts, because Spotify makes money by selling a $10 subscription at the end of the day. So in order to send that, it's the same thing with Netflix, right? In order to sell that subscription, you got to get people in the door. So if they give Joe Rogan 100 million and they can, make an ROI by getting people to come to the app, because now like Joe Rogan's on it, now they can sell you that subscription. I believe that creates an intrinsic conflict of interest with their whole ethos of being creator friendly. And it's not to call out Spotify, it's just calling out the entire nature of these podcasting apps. Because how is a random person going to get recommended on the home feed of Spotify when you've got Joe Rogan, Gimlet Media, Call Her Daddy? Like, these people are going to get the airtime. Just like on Netflix, if you make chess content, you're not getting airtime on Netflix. Queen's Gambit is getting the airspace because that's the premium content that they need to get an ROI on. So I think if there could be a YouTube of audio, a search engine for audio where people could upload their audio ideas or audias, and we could create an algorithmic recommendation engine, I think there's a lot more audio content that could be discovered, primarily because all of us at the end of the day are audio creators more than we are video creators. Like, if we are not speaking in the video, it doesn't matter, right? Like, the audio is literally the 95% of the content that people are coming for. So I think there's a major market opportunity for people to get discovered for audio, and that's what we're trying to build.
You know what? That's funny that you were saying that, man, because on my way over here, I have a 30-minute commute from work back home, and I was just listening to your video on what's his name? Shark Tank 2.
Kevin?
Yeah, Kevin O'Leary. I wasn't even watching the video because I was driving. Right. I was literally just listening to the audio. So yeah.
I think the audio is a lot of what only matters. But the problem with Spotify and Apple is, like, when people start a podcast, like, for example, in November when I started YouTube, if I had started a Palantir podcast on Spotify, I would not have a single percentage of the growth I have versus YouTube. And it's like, it's not because YouTube's bigger than Spotify. Spotify has 400 million users. It's only because what is the incentive for that platform to recommend me? Like, they don't have any incentive. They have a fiduciary commitment to get Justin Bieber his music streams, right? Because they got to pay the record labels. And then they got Joe Rogan, who does premium content. So I'm like, all right, if there was an open source platform where anyone can upload their Palantir audio, and the platform could actually get you an audience through AI, machine learning, right? Matching those algorithmic capacities in a meaningful way. And they don't have a fiduciary conflict of interest to not recommend your content, then I think that could potentially work. And we'll see if it does.
Yeah, for sure. Hey, Airborne, if you want to hop in, let me know, man. I'll send you a link. But by the way, guys, down below on the description, there's a link for all the socials for Raven and for Amit. So definitely click on them if you haven't subscribed to them. Subscribe to them for sure. Let's see what else I have here. So do you guys want to talk a little bit more about the markets? What do you guys think is going on, man? Like, obviously all this Russia stuff, that's obviously, bringing down the markets, but do you guys think, here's one question. Do you guys think it has the ability, or it has the market can go lower than it did for COVID?
Raven, can you take that?
Yeah, that's a good question, investing guy. I mean, the indices, no. I think some specific stocks, though, would or already have. I mean, I was looking at Purple stock. That's one that I like, and that stock hit $5 right, after hours when they reported earnings, and they hit that was about their low in March of 2020. I'm sure there's plenty of other ones out there, right, that are approaching those levels or are even lower than they were prior to that crash, it's crazy because those companies have progressed so much, right, in the past couple years, but their stock prices aren't really showing it, right? I mean, especially it ties right back in with Voyager, right? We have, good updates and you see how much growth they've had throughout 2021. But if you look at the price, it just doesn't really reflect that, especially VGX, right? We were close to $7 this time last year. Now we're under $2. So it can be frustrating for people. I mean, the way I always approach it is to just take that long-term perspective, right? You can't, even 1 year in the grand scheme of things actually isn't very long, right? So I just like to take that long-term perspective. And if things continue to go down, I'm the kind of investor on positions that I believe in for the long term. I'm going to keep adding. I'm not really trying to time the markets, jump in, jump out. I'll just keep adding on something like Voyager for the long term. And because I believe that eventually it will come out of this, right? There's a lot of short-term headwinds, and who knows, right? Nobody can really, say we're going to enter a long-term recession or not. If we do, that becomes obviously a much longer term where we're down. But I'm feeling like even with Voyager stock, right? I mean, it's been a downtrend for a while. A lot of these small cap kind of growth stocks, even Palantir, right? That one's been downtrending for quite a while, and you can be waiting and thinking, oh, now's the time, right, where we go back up to 20 or we go back up to $40. And it can become kind of demoralizing when it doesn't happen over and over again. But you just got to kind of keep that long-term perspective and stay away from all the crazy FUD, right? There's a lot of stuff that, oh, it's going to zero. I don't know. Some stocks do have the potential to go to zero, right, if they're actually at risk of bankruptcy. Otherwise, it's hard to predict what the low is, but just understand where you're comfortable buying and keep buying it up if it's in that price range. That's kind of how I see it.
Yeah, I definitely like that because I think I kind of messed up where I sold some stuff, earlier on in the beginning of the year because I was changing my strategy to doing more of like covered calls and cash secured puts, and so I had to sell some of my positions. But I went like right in onto Starbucks. I went right in onto like Robinhood and all that. And I feel like I should have taken it more, gradual in hindsight, but back then I remember seeing Robinhood at like $16. I was like, this is so cheap. Robinhood at $16. Like this is a once in a lifetime opportunity. And now it's down to what, like $10, $11. Same thing with Starbucks and so many stocks. And that's kind of how I'm feeling right now with Palantir. So I'm like, I'm taking it a little bit slower. I think I'm going to go a little bit slower with Palantir, but we'll see what happens there. I mean, Amit, you got anything to say about the markets, man?
Yeah, I mean, I think I don't know, it's rough. I mean, the CPI data is coming out, I think this Thursday, projected 7.9% inflation, so that's up from 7.5%. I don't see inflation going away, especially with the stuff that's happening with the war. The United States, are they going to become energy independent, or are we just going to go to Venezuela? Like, there's so many different, like, that's why, like, yeah, when you're saying Robinhood 16 opportunity of a lifetime, all of us, I think, fell for that for any stocks we were into it. But like, the opportunity just kept getting better. It's like, well, if you like Robinhood at 80, you got to like it at 12. And it's just, I don't know. It's rough right now. I made the mistake of loading up on Palantir before Q3 earnings at like $25. Like I loaded the boat and then it dropped to 22. I was like, let me load the boat again. And then it just, and it's just like, even at 15, 16, I'm loading the boat. And then we're at 11 now. I'm just like, I don't know if I can load the boat anymore. I'm like, can it go any lower? We're going to see. But
exactly. That's how I feel. I mean, if I had the means to load the boat, I would, but I just don't anymore.
I've loaded the boat. I'm ready to go on the journey to sail to the new land. And it's like, I have no oil to put in the ship right now.
Yeah.
It's funny when you watch the stocks in the long term. I mean, I've been watching Palantir. I'm not invested in that one, but I've always been watching it. And I think of you like when it went to 25, I was like, ooh, like starting to get interested. I got to start watching Palantir. And I remember when it hit like 17 for the first time, it was like, oh my gosh, and a bunch of people were jumping in. And then now, I mean, oh my goodness, things have just like gone down so far. But it's crazy how the sentiment has changed from like this time last year, 1 year ago. People were trying to jump in, right? It was like, oh, I have to build this huge position right away because things could skyrocket tomorrow. Like I have to get in before the earnings. I have to get in before the next run up. Whereas now it's almost the opposite. It's like we're expecting things to downtrend. So it's like, oh, maybe I'll go in, a little slower and build it up slower. So it's just interesting. It's like a total flip from where we were 1 year ago.
Yeah.
Yep.
So it looks like a lot of the crowd is from the Voyager. What's Palantir, man? Like, sum it down. I'm a noob investor. I don't know anything about Palantir. How would you sum it down?
I think in the most simplest terms, companies have a lot of data. That data is meaningful if they can make sense of that data. The data is usually siloed, which means it exists in disparate parts of their organization. And I mean, Raven can probably understand this really well. And like, so Palantir, you implement it. It is a modern operating system for your company. And it tries to make sense of all that data using predictive simulation models, AI, machine learning. I know those are buzzwords, but Palantir's technology is a one-of-a-kind technology because it tries to help companies utilize their data and then make action-driven decisions based upon that data. That's like the most simplest way to understand it. And if they can scale into a variety of multi-trillion-dollar industries in which every company in the world theoretically has more data than they can make sense of, which is going to be a reality given the level of data that companies are producing and governments are producing. And Palantir can be that operating system to make sense of that data. That's where the market opportunity is. And so if they can do that, there is a major bull case. There is a major, people are calling it the Tesla of data type of argument. And the thing about Palantir, so that's the nutshell, but the thing about why it's so exciting to cover is the management, the CEO, they have connections to Peter Thiel. Obviously, Thiel is a legend. They've invested in 14 SPACs, and those SPACs and their destiny affects Palantir in some capacity. So they did a DPO, so they pissed off Wall Street when they went public. So there's just so many interesting components to it that makes it more philosophically interesting to analyze. And that's why I think it has such a vibrant community around it.
I saw that. Yeah, what was that whole thing about why you made a video saying that he hates Wall Street and all that?
Well, he doesn't. I mean, the idea of an IPO is an initial public offering, so you're making more equity that the public is going to buy. But the problem with Palantir is they had so many existing shareholders because they were a company for 17 years that they had to liquidate those shares, right? And those employees wanted to cash out as well because they've been there for so long. So they didn't need to make more equity, which means they didn't need a Morgan Stanley or JP Morgan to help them go public. They just needed to sell shares from existing shareholders. I think Spotify did the same thing as well. And I think Roblox did the same thing as well. I might be wrong on that. So at that point, when Wall Street doesn't get involved in your process, they can't make their 7% management fees on helping you go public. Then they get pissed off. Their analysts write really crappy reports. They don't want to work with you. And Thiel and Karp, which are the chairman and CEO of the company, they just never cared about Wall Street. They always cared about product and innovation. And they believe they have the best product in the world. So they're like, well, Wall Street's going to have to buy our stock when we're growing because like where else is Wall Street going to put their money? So we don't have to like kiss their ass in the meantime. So that's what happened.
That's pretty cool, man. Obviously, you're bullish on Palantir, man. I'm telling you, I'm still learning about Palantir. I'm trying my best to understand it. I'm getting there slowly, little by little. But it's I think it's a little complicated, to understand for some people that aren't really into, like Raven, that's a data analyst.
Yeah, I mean, I have mixed feelings on Palantir because I love it, right? Like I like to pick stocks that are in an industry that I really believe in. And just like you were saying, Amit, like, data intelligence, artificial intelligence, machine learning, they are buzz terms, but this is the real world. And every industry is starting to build out entire departments that are completely dedicated to this. And I've seen this happen, right? And it's always about what technology can we use to make this easier, right? You don't always have to be the one who can like build, right, the machine learning algorithm, but you're going to adopt technology that allows you to do that. And as a data analyst, you have to be able to interpret those results and relay those up to leadership to make business decisions. So it's like, it's key, and it reaches into every single industry because everyone needs this kind of, data analytics. And that's what I love about it. And if you look into Palantir, it's like, if you just look on their investor relations page, it's like, new deal with these people, like over and over again. It's like you see the growth. Now, the hard part, I think, for some people is the government contracts, right? That's where I get stuck. It's like it's not a stock where you can go to the store, like, tattooed chef, right? Here's a stock. You can't just go to Target and get some tattooed chef and try it out and make an opinion, right? I can't just go get Palantir's technology. I mean, maybe I could, but I personally would not, that's not feasible for me. So that's what I love. Like, I would love it if my company would kind of adopt that technology. Maybe they will, in the long term. But it's like you have to stand out, right? And how can Palantir stand out compared to all those competitors and prove themselves to each company saying, this is why you should adopt our technology over what you're currently using. And so that's what I want to continue to see is all those new partnerships and then reinstating deals as well, because we've definitely seen like an industry we'll try out a new software, people pilot it out, see if this could be valuable. So if they can keep reaching into industries and, the colleagues try that out and realize how much benefit it can have for them and kind of renew those deals, that's a really bullish sign as well.
Yeah, I mean, I agree. I mean, it's also complicated because like if you don't know, like you can buy an iPhone, so it's easy for you to understand what Apple does. But if you can't buy this B2B AI training enterprise software, it's like it's really hard for you to like feel fully convicted in it. I think that's where the due diligence stuff comes in. It's like you got to go so deep on a company if you're willing to put up a lot of money in it, to the point where you don't need to see the product in order to understand it. And there's so many videos on YouTube showing the way the product looks, all that stuff, but there's nothing like actually feeling it. So it's just a question of like, are you comfortable talking to people? And I've talked to people that are using Palantir. I talked to people who are employees in the company. They're like, bro, this thing is like crazy. And then you gotta form your own decision. And once you form that decision, it's a question of like, how much do you believe in it? But I agree. I mean, if they could open source it and average people could just like start playing around with it, it would help so much with conviction when building up for the stock.
Yeah. So Pat, just a quick question. I'm just wondering, well, you already said you've talked to people that work there, because it's like from YouTube, I feel like it's you and Tom Nash, right? The big ones that cover Palantir. So have they reached out to you
Oh
at all?
yeah, the Palantir dudes are definitely watching my content. There's no way in hell I think these guys don't
Yeah.
know. Like they reached out to Tom once. They wanted to do an interview with him, but they did it through stupid LinkedIn, and Tom, no one checks their LinkedIn. Like, well, Tom definitely did it, so like he missed the opportunity. But yeah, I think they definitely know about me because like at the end of the day, they are using Google and YouTube like 2 billion other people do, and they work at Palantir. They probably search the word. So it's like I'm pretty sure I've come up. The question becomes, do they want to actually do an interview? Do they feel like this community that I've created is the right place to do an interview? I think yes. They're always very hesitant though, like because they do all this classified stuff. So speaking to this random guy, like, does that make any sense? But I think eventually they'll come around to it. I think especially when the stock price appreciates and they see how thriving, like that's what Elon did, right? He let Gali from Hyperchange ask him a question on a Wall Street earnings call. I mean, like that's intense stuff. And Palantir incorporated retail investors into their latest earning calls, which was awesome. But actually giving Karp an interview with me or Tom Nash, I mean, that would be epic,
Yeah,
So
that would be epic.
Yeah, it's a great point. I mean, about, like the sensitivity maybe of some of the things that they, could say or potentially say on an interview. And I think within Voyager, something that I was super surprised on with their CEO, Steve Ehrlich, he is super open. I mean, he's gone on multiple people's YouTube channels. He's on Twitter, always tweeting things out. He's joined at Twitter Spaces. So I feel like he is super immersed in the community, which is interesting because I feel like that's probably the route that they're taking, right? They're trying to kind of build out this community to build up the Voyager platform, make people, more and more aware of Voyager, because it's us, like our kind of people, right? Just, regular retail investors who are kind of joining up on that app right now. So it kind of makes sense that they would be, extra immersed. But I was super surprised when I kind of joined the community and realized how open he was. And sometimes it can cause a little bit of backlash, I think, because maybe he speaks on something that hasn't been, officially released, or gives, a preliminary date that then a bunch of people see, and then they expect it to be true. It wasn't like a formal press release or anything like that. So sometimes it could kind of kick you in the butt a little bit, but I really, admire how he does that. And I love to hear all the extra information, right? Even if it isn't official, right? You can give us some speculation, I guess, and we can have an idea of what's coming up next.
Yeah. Yeah, I kind of feel that like Amit, maybe, hopefully one day I'll have him on my channel, or maybe you, Raven, maybe one day, or Steve will reach out to you, because I'm pretty sure they've probably seen some of our stuff, so
yeah,
I think it's a good platform.
What's the marketing officer, Pam? I think she followed me on Twitter the other day. I felt special.
Yeah, she followed me a few. Was it yesterday or today? She followed me yesterday or today. So
ooh, close timing.
Yeah, close timing. So
Can you guys? Can someone give me the quick TLDR on what? It's a cryptocurrency exchange, right?
Yep. So
it's like it's like a Coinbase to some extent.
It kind of is. Now they're trying to do more of like the kind of all finances in one platform, sort of, where they're even going to have a debit card where you don't have to worry about going to the bank and transferring like you do on Coinbase, so just a debit card where you just use your crypto. They're eventually going to integrate stocks in there. So kind of think of it like a all-in-one platform. You want to go, Raven?
Like a brokerage with crypto, stocks, financial services, all that stuff, right?
Yeah.
So what's the moat against Coinbase or Robinhood?
So let's check it out. So let me you have something you want to share, Raven?
Yeah, am I sharing my screen, investing guy?
Yeah, go for it.
All right. Yeah, I was just pulling up Voyager here for you, Amit. So like my spiel on Voyager. So I've always been invested in stocks. I'm not sure if you're like super into cryptocurrencies or only a little bit. I'm like just now kind of reaching into the crypto space. And for me, Voyager was the simplest place to get started. I mean, I had heard about it in terms of the stock, and they had incredible growth. So they grew from 43,000 customers to over 1 million in 1 year. That was throughout 2021, which is just insane growth. Their revenue growth is like over 2,000% year over year. In 2022, they're expected to grow revenue over 200% yet again. So they're just like, they're flying up the ranks here, and you can see them in the App Store. We've seen them like in the top 10 for the finance apps at one point in time. They're doing deals with a bunch of teams, like in terms of sports partnerships, which I think, crypto.com, we're seeing that, right? It's like, it seems to be kind of a tendency. They did one with the Dallas Mavericks, but it's what really got me is the rewards for Voyager. And this is where I feel like it's really differentiated from Coinbase and your other options. So for someone like me, I wasn't going to go like into crypto and go all in on Shiba Inu or something like that, right? I just wasn't comfortable doing that. I wanted something that I could really understand. So step one for that is on Voyager. Like you can get 9% just literally holding your USDC. And not just that, but they have a Voyager like loyalty program where you can get even more rewards based on that. Like, for example, the debit card, this is coming out imminently, right? I'm not going to say the word soon because people will get upset in the comments section. But basically, you can use your USDC like cash. So the great part about this is it's going to have a routing and account number. So you can just like straight deposit your money right into Voyager, start earning that 9% interest on USDC. And then whenever you need to pay bills, you can just use that money. So you're literally making 9% while you're just holding it instead of that cash that you usually, keep in a traditional bank account in order to spend. And they have their own Voyager token, right? This is kind of the key piece tied in with the loyalty program. And this is really what got me in. So I wasn't sure exactly what cryptos to invest in, but I did, I put into VGX, I'm an adventurer, because when you do that, you get a bunch of extra rewards. So are you guys getting a bunch of feedback? That's better. Here's a bunch of the extra rewards you get, right? So if you just hold VGX, which is their native utility token, you can get 7% interest just holding that. And then here's the big piece. You get an earnings reward boost. So if you hold any Bitcoin, Ethereum, USDC, you get this extra 0.5% booster that gets paid out to you in VGX and helps you to kind of get up to this next level. So I'm kind of here an adventurer working my way up to explorer. You get referred friend bonuses, you get crypto back. And then on that debit card, you get 1 to 3% crypto back whenever you make those purchases. So this really made it worth it for me. Like I'm super comfortable holding VGX and using Voyager. It's super easy, but it's really these extra rewards that got me. And I think that's where it really differentiates itself from Coinbase, for example.
VGX is a public stock or it's a token?
It's a token. Yep,
Okay.
It's a token. It's a utility token.
Gotcha.
Yeah, they also have their public stock though. It's VYGVF. That's for the company Voyager. I think who covers it? Jeremy from Financial. I think he's invested in it.
He's big on Voyager, the stock, right?
The stock, exactly.
But you guys don't own the stock. You guys own the token more.
I own both.
I own way more stock than token because that's where I started to meet. So I was totally comfortable. I've been in Voyager stock for like a year and a couple months now, and I was learning about Voyager, and that's where I finally branched myself into the cryptocurrency space. With VGX and like USDC. Like I'm still not super evolved into the cryptocurrency space. I'm learning, but I'm definitely more invested in the stock. Whereas like the investing guy, right, you're more into the token. So there's kind of a balance in our community between both the stock and the token.
Yeah.
And the public stock does well based upon like regular company. Like, does the token have to go up for the stock to go up, you think? And they're kind of correlated? Or
sometimes I think it's correlated, but I mean it's all correlated with Bitcoin.
Exactly.
In my opinion, right? It's just like Coinbase stock, it's like Riot, Marathon, like all these stocks are so highly associated there. So I don't know. That's where I kind of see it.
Oh, I think she left. I think
she pressed the studio by accident.
Yeah. Hey, dude, I was gonna move on right on to the next question. Do you own any crypto, Amit?
I don't. I sold off all my ETH at 3,600, which was.
Oh, that's a good move, man.
No, I could have sold it at 48. I would have made 3,000 in profit, and I made like 500 instead.
Yeah.
You're back.
I disappeared.
Yeah,
I stopped sharing, but instead I left the studio.
You click leave studio, yeah.
Crypto Airborne's laughing.
I think the thing about crypto is it's just so damn volatile. Like it doesn't help me sleep well at night, knowing that I have like ETH, that like Bitcoin went from 38 to 45, right back down to 38, and it's like I don't know what price to buy at, and I don't believe in it enough to like sleep well at night. knowing how volatile it is, especially because if we get into a recession, and which is a possibility, I would say it's like a 30, 35, 40% chance, Bitcoin's down the drain. I mean, there's no hedge because it performs like the NASDAQ. I mean, it's very obvious right now. It performs like the NASDAQ because the same people that own Bitcoin own growth stocks. Like there's no special community of people that are hodling Bitcoin. So if there's a recession, I think everything drops. I think gold is probably the only thing that goes up a little bit instead. So at that point, I just don't know if this is the right time to buy. But I'm very bullish. Like I think 10 years from now, Bitcoin's multiple hundreds of thousands. ETH is probably, beyond 10,000. So I guess we will see what happens.
Yeah, agreed. So that's what I tell everyone. If you're gonna invest in crypto, like you gotta have some balls of steel, man. Like it is volatile. So that's why I kind of what I do mostly in my majority of what I hold, the crypto that I hold is USDC, and you get that 9% interest. It's a lot safer, and that kind of battles. It's like if Bitcoin goes down, the USDC interest that you get kind of brings you back up a little. So it's a nice little balance. That's kind of what Voyager has. Yeah.
And here's the point for you and me, like in terms of stock market investing, right? Like how I started, I was also hesitant to get into cryptocurrencies, but I got exposure to the markets, right, by investing in Voyager stock. So I knew I wanted some exposure, but I wasn't going to buy Bitcoin. So I started searching through like, okay, should I buy a company that owns a lot of Bitcoin? Should I buy a Bitcoin miner? Where I ended up is I want to buy a Bitcoin brokerage, because whether or not I'm, comfortable buying a bunch of Shiba Inu coin or, whatever example you want to use, I 100% believe that tons of people out there will and will continue to do so over time. So that's where I started. I was like, I'm going to bet on Voyager because I see their growth, and I guarantee a bunch of people are going to keep joining on. And what I love about it is even in this downtrend with cryptocurrency, we're still seeing an uptake in Voyager in their growth in users. I think we just got numbers investigated. I'm not sure if you remember, but their last earnings, they had like 1,075,000, and now they're up to like 1,300,000 just in the past couple months, where it's actually been a downtrend for cryptocurrency. So it's just showing like people are still coming on the platform, and maybe they're just depositing money into USDC to be safe instead of, depositing into something hoping for, that quick run up. But, the stable coins are kind of like dividend stocks. That's how I see it, right? You don't have to go, all in something risky in the stock market. You also don't have to go all in on something risky in the crypto market. You could do something, simple like USDC, or a utility token like VGX, which is super easy to understand and kind of see how it has value. So it's always that balance of risk reward in both stocks and crypto, in my opinion.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, there's definitely great ways to gain exposure to something without having to go all in. So that makes a lot of sense.
Bullish. So, I want to ask you here, like, what's your bullish case on Palantir, man?
Well, I just think, I think that when you talk about AI and machine learning, if there is a future that is emerging where AI is everywhere, and companies, governments, organizations have to be able to make sense of the data that they have using AI, then I think there is a carbon green energy bull case for Palantir's technology to be able to operationalize data in that industry. I think in the drug discovery, pharmaceutical base, there is a bull case for that. Supply chain and logistics, Palantir's literally transformed all the companies that got ruined by COVID with logistics because they've been able to actually streamline how to understand your supply chains in a meaningful way. They saved like BP $40 million. I mean, there's just so many case studies that I've covered on the channel or on the website. So like, I just think there's all these different industries that have multi-trillion-dollar TAMs and that are going to have those TAMs only get bigger and bigger, including the government. Right now, they estimate the government's about a $56 billion TAM. Everything that's going on in Russia, Ukraine, to me, only ranks up defense spending and cyber intelligence spending because like things obviously are very chaotic. And like this thesis that the world is crazy, the world will have crazy things happen. COVID was one example, Russia, Ukraine, another example, both of them very random. What technology is going to be utilized for the companies that have to deal with that craziness and for the governments that have to also make sense of that craziness? So I think there's so many different industries that Palantir could be a part of that like at $11, it's just a joke in my opinion. Like it's just like, I mean, in my DCF model, if you assume a 36% year-over-year growth rate with a 35% adjusted operating margin, this is a $263 stock, $263 by 2030. So wow. It's an easy 20x from here. It's an easy 10x when it was $20, which is when I was planning to buy. And if they have a growth inflection curve where it's like 50, 60% growth year over year, then I mean, there's a very good possibility this stock is a multi-bagger. But it has to execute in all these different industries. And then management. Like, to me, there's this data world in which data is going to need to be made sense of. Palantir's technology is the best that does it. And then there's a management execution level of like, are these the guys that are going to be the ones to be able to do it? And I just think their product is better than everything else in the world. Like, there is no other product to me that actually competes at the level of a Palantir. And if you listen to the case studies, you see the clients being like, yeah, this is the only thing we're going to use. One good example for you real quick is they did the NHS's vaccine distribution rollout in 2020. And NHS is the National Health Service in the UK. And the UK extended their partnership with them for $34 million for 2 years up until December 2022. And recently an article came out that they saved the NHS 28% of time, which is equivalent to tens of thousands of patients on backlogs for non-surgical surgeries or non-surgical treatments. And the NHS, if you know anything about the UK healthcare system, because it's like nationalized, it's not as efficient as like sort of private healthcare systems. So there's a huge backlog on people just looking to get treated by a doctor. So when you see a company like that being able to make 34 million bucks in a year off just like being able to make sense of data for companies, you're like, well, where else can this be used? And if it can be used a lot more in the world, then we're talking about a big return.
Yeah. No, definitely. Like I'm for sure intrigued in Palantir, man. Like I'm telling you, every time that I watch your videos, I'm gonna get in on Palantir. Like, but I'm telling you, my investing plan with growth stocks, I'm kind of following this routine of like cash secured puts, and buying in these in chunks, and I haven't gotten it yet. Like right now, I currently have one at $10, so we'll see if I get assigned. I want to get assigned. I want the shares to get assigned, but we'll see if it reaches that price. Yeah, so that's kind of what I'm thinking. Hey, Airborne, you said, come on, man. You said retire by 30. Man, I had it financially free by 33. You don't think I'll reach it? Said 34 or 35. Oh, come on, Airborne.
Would you want to retire at 33 though? You would be done?
I don't think I would ever want to retire. Like I just want to be. I want to have financial security, but I don't think I would ever want to retire. Like I love teaching. I love being in the classroom every day. And there have been like during summer, I feel like I'm going crazy, man. I'm telling you, like, I feel like I'm going crazy. I need to be in the classroom,
Yeah.
So I don't think I would retire, but definitely I definitely want to have more like financial freedom and stuff. So that's that.
I think that's the goal for all of us, right? It's like, we're just trying to figure out how to make sense of this life thing, given we're going to die one day. It's like, oh yeah, that's going to happen one day. So it's like, before that happens, it's like, well, can I live life on my own terms? And financial freedom usually helps with that process.
Exactly, man. I'm going to run through, I tried on my last video. I'm not a chartist, but I was kind of looking at the stock here for Palantir. I'm going to go ahead and share that with you guys. Let me go ahead and share it. There we go. And y'all tell me how I'm doing here. Give me a second.
You're giving us the technical analysis.
I'm going to give you guys a little TA for Palantir.
All right,
I'm going to expand it here. Now let's check it out. I have some moving averages here. I like the 20-day and the 50-day. And we saw that it crossed here, which it's a bearish cross. The RSI saying that it's maybe a little high. We can see it go a little bit lower, which means that the price might go down. I don't know. I'm thinking, when I was looking at this, I was thinking that we might see it at somewhere around $10. But it's holding really strong. Like I'm telling you, like today it performed so well. So I'm getting FOMO, man. Amit, help me. I'm getting FOMO. I don't know if we're going to see 10. What do you think?
I think we could see like 8, to be honest.
You think we can see 10? You think we'll see 8?
Yeah, I mean, like I'm not a big charts guy because I'm just like, I'm investing for the story of it, but I definitely think it could go down to 8, 7, 6, 5. Like there is no limit. I mean, it's trading almost at net cash if it actually does get a little bit lower than this. So it did hit 9 the other day, like 9.98 pre-market on one of the bad days. But the problem is I can't even buy if it gets that low because I literally just don't have cash anymore. So I'm just like, all right, it's just gonna look at the red and enjoy the pain.
well, been buying the dip and buying the dip of the dip and so on.
Buying the dip of the dip.
That's one of the things with Palantir. I agree, Amit. It's like you don't really know where it's going to bottom. And that's the thing with any kind of stock that trades at a richer valuation, which not that Palantir doesn't deserve it, right? Because like they're kind of business model that deserves that. They aren't going to trade at a price to sales of 1, right? That would just be absolutely ridiculous. I think currently they're at like a price to sales of 14. That's what Yahoo Finance is telling me right now. Might be a little off, and on a forward basis, that might be a little lower than that. So, I mean, it all comes down to what price people are willing to pay, right? In the past, people were willing to pay a price to sales of 40. Now, are they willing to pay 14? Who's to say it won't go, to 7, right? You don't really know. It all comes down to where people are going to come in and swoop up those shares and consider it to be undervalued. So it's always hard to kind of guess where that bottom might be.
Yeah, I mean, and that's the problem. And I mean, like from every DCF model I've looked at, the fair value right now is around like $22, $23. So it's like it is undervalued, but the market does not care given what's going on in the world. That's like every growth stock. Well, I think Twilio, right, went from 190 to like 240 on their earnings after hours. And now I don't know what it's back at, maybe like 170 or something. It's like the market just does not care. So I'm like, I'm going to try to analyze the company right now because the stock is like just disconnected from the company at this point.
Yep, completely agree. I think there's so many stocks out there right now. Like if I was just starting to invest right now and had like a giant sum of money to kind of go out and distribute, that would just be amazing, right? Like anyone watching this who like wants to start a position in Palantir and you've been waiting, like this might be the time. Like these prices are better than we've seen in quite a while. Same with Voyager stock. So it's really, but so many of us have been in this for a while and we're kind of just continuing to dollar cost average our way down, which can be a bit painful. So I don't know. Sometimes it's fun to start a new position in something separate and then see that, you have a nice low cost basis. And then when you go up, you feel real proud of that instead of always dollar cost averaging on your positions that you're down on. But I mean, you got to do that too, right? Because those are the ones that you probably believe in the most.
Yeah,
exactly.
That's it.
Yeah.
That is it.
All right, we're coming up close to an hour. So you guys want to finish it up with anything else? We'll probably stop at like around an hour of the stream.
Yeah, I got something, investing guy.
Yeah,
so we're mashing up, right? Voyager and here. I want to say like I just feel like a lot of people who are interested in Palantir might also be interested in Voyager and vice versa. The reason being, they're both kind of in these innovative industries, right? If you're interested in a high growth stock, you want something that could grow for years and years into the future, right? Not just, they have a 1-year growth story. Both of these companies have, multi-year growth stories for the coming, decades, which I love. They both have super high growth. And I think because of that, both could have, a strong retail crowd behind them, which obviously, Palantir absolutely does currently. I think Voyager, that crowd is also building up, especially with the stock, right? We have VGX heroes. A lot of VGX heroes, though, are very focused on VGX, especially with the stock. There's very low trading volume. I really want to see that one get listed on the NASDAQ. I think that could get some big money in there, which would be huge for Voyager stock. But I just really like that idea, right? Like they're both these high growth plays in innovative industries. So I think, it's a good mashup, right? I feel like anyone watching the videos could be potentially interested in both. I know I am. So just wanted to put that out there.
Sorry, I was on mute. Yeah, I agree. I think the nature of innovation requires these stocks and these communities to come together. I think, Palantir has this product called Foundry for crypto. It's not talked about too much, but one of the things they're trying to do is these Web3 startups that are sort of building their business models and their network effects on this tokenization type of infrastructure, which is like if you buy tokens and you become part of the Discord, then you're part of the community and that allows the token to appreciate in value. There's going to be a lot of fraud in that. It's just inevitable. So Foundry for crypto being like a major cybersecurity effort to stop that for Web3 startups, I think could be big. And I think Voyager could play a big role. I mean, crypto hasn't even seen the infancy of what's going to happen. So it's like if Palantir could play a role in crypto, and obviously Voyager is like rooted in the crypto community, then it can be a cool deal. Do you guys ever think Voyager will have NFTs?
Yeah, they will. They will have NFTs. They're actually planning on adding NFTs onto the platform. So yeah, one day.
I think that word is so crazy, right? Like this, like you say the word NFT and people know what you're talking about, but they don't really know it. It's like just happened out of nowhere. This NFT. What's an NFT?
NFTs.
Like,
non-fungible tokens. What the heck is that, man?
Yeah, I feel like even my friends who don't keep up with anything business, they because Instagram, right? Instagram is culture, and like on Instagram, people are talking about NFTs just like randomly. So it's fun.
Yeah, I own a few.
You own a few NFTs? Okay.
Yeah, I own a few NFTs. There was one. I mean, if you think crypto is crazy, you got to look at the volatility of NFTs, man. Like they can drop to zero, like really bad. Like I remember I bought one at around $900, and now it's worth maybe like $20.
So you basically lost everything from it.
Pretty much everything. And the reason why it's still at $20 is because of the gas fees or something like that. I'm sure it probably.
You bought because you believed in like the community or something, or what was the?
I was doing more like hype trades. I was at a point I was doing like hype trades on NFTs, and it went pretty well. I made some money, but I said I'm gonna keep a few of these here, and those are the ones that went to zero. Yeah, I didn't. Yeah, right. I sold some for profit, and some of the ones that I sold for profit did really well. Where, like you said, you could have sold your ETH at a higher price. I could have sold for a really high price, man. I would have been in a different financial situation if I would have done that.
Bought more Voyager.
What was that?
But you could have bought more Voyager with your NFT profits.
Well, that's exactly what I did. I actually I got my Ethereum. All my Ethereum that I hold on Voyager is from NFT profits. So I literally got all my Ethereum from and I moved it over to Voyager, and now I'm getting these interest payments on my Ethereum, so I'm getting paid every month, which is pretty cool. That's the reason why I like Voyager, man. It's a form of passive income, and I'm trying to generate all these different forms of passive incomes. I have dividend stocks. I'm running covered calls, cash secured puts. I have my crypto, so I'm just trying to have all these different ways to generate extra cash, so that I could live a little bit more financially free.
Raven, is that a green screen, or is that your like house?
No, I wish this was my house. I mean, I was playing with this on the screen before we joined. Yeah, they have backgrounds on this here on the StreamYard.
Yeah, I was looking at it, I was like, yo, you got a $10,000 piano in the background just sitting there.
Yeah, it's nice, huh? I could have went with that or a brick wall.
You could have done the bricks.
We should have done the bricks. We should all go bricks, man. Let me put
That's the secret to YouTube. Get a brick background, explode. That's it.
There we go. Oh man, mine looks horrible. Look at that.
Is mine showing up? It looks like
yours looks good. Mine looks really bad. Look.
You're like bleeding into it. That's the problem. He's not bleeding into it.
I got brick shirt. Man, mine looks bad. I'm gonna keep it though. I don't care. Bricks all day.
Bricks all day.
Yeah. That reminds me of I went to San Jose State over here in California, and the dorms that they would call it the bricks. I'm like, let's go to the bricks. Man, they were horrible. They were ugly, man. The bricks were you don't want to go to the bricks. Anyone that's from San Jose State, you don't want to go to the bricks. It's like the ugly dorms. They're like cockroaches and stuff.
Good to know.
Don't go to the bricks.
She's like at UPenn. I wasn't dealing with that. I was treated like a queen at UPenn. I was.
Hey, Penn is interesting. You got to stay on campus. If you just go a couple streets, it gets a little scary out there. But on campus is nice.
All right, guys. I think I'm out. I got a dip.
Sounds good. Yeah, I think we're gonna end it there. If anyone has any last questions, drop them down, and I'll try to answer them. But Amit, hey, thanks, man, for hopping on. Awesome, dude. If you ever need anything, I'm a holler away, man.
Absolutely. Nice meeting you, Raven. And what is your name, investing guy?
It's Andres.
Andres. Okay, I don't think
I didn't even know that either.
Yeah, no, I never tell anyone. It's Andres.
He's just the investing guy.
I'm the investing guy.
The investing guy. It's like, when you put the in front of your name, it's like sounds more cooler. It's like, I'm not an investing guy. I'm the
investing
You
guy.
can't say the. It is the.
It's the investing guy, man.
It's like you got to start speaking in third person on all of your YouTube titles. It's like the investing guy reacts to Voyager stock. Like, the investing guy reacts to Palantir dropping. It's like, okay.
Oh man, that's gonna be my next title. Hey, I think you got the key to YouTube, man. I'm gonna do that. The investing guy.
The investing guy.
The investing guy, man.
All right, man. Thank you guys for having me. Talk to you guys later.
Thanks,
man.
See
you around.
All right.
See ya. All right. I think, is there any last questions from anyone that we can answer? If not, when will I retire? Airborne. Oh, he did answer it. He said, Well, I don't know. For the word retire, I would say enough money. What do you wait for?
Investing guy, you look like a ghost right now.
I need to take this off. I can't even look at myself. Wait up. There we go. That's better. All right. I don't think we have any last questions, but Voyager at $6. Voyager stock at $6. That's interesting. I'm definitely going to try to. Man, I don't even know. I would say I'm going to try to buy some, but oh man, I'm so bad at trying to save cash. Like today, I just went and bought more with the little cash that I had, and I'm trying to save, and I can't. No, I'm so bad at this.
We're all feeling it. We're all feeling it.
Yeah. All right. I think we're going to end it there. Raven, thank you so much. Guys, if you guys are watching the replay, the socials are down there for Raven, so make sure that you subscribe, and also for Amit, so follow him on Twitter, follow Diamond Hands on Twitter, and I'll catch you guys on the next one. See you guys.